Talk about one of the most polarizing takes that you and I have, because I wouldn't say that all the big experts out there are disagreeing with us, but I've seen way too many that are way too high on this player, and that's Bijan Robinson. We've seen very little sample size this preseason to say, like, yeah, with the eye test, he looks good. He looked sharp. He looked fast, all that. But to say that he is a first-round pick automatically is to say that you're taking the risk that he's going to get the output that, like I said before, Saquon Barkley, and the same output that I think Barkley's probably the closest comparison, because he went to a place that didn't have the best offensive line, that the team wasn't the best either. The only difference is he didn't have a veteran quarterback and receivers around him. He's now in a situation, Bijan's coming to a situation without one main wide receiver and one main tight end and a question mark at the quarterback position. In a situation that if you're Atlanta, it would be better off if you knew you were going to be the worst team in that division and then just tank for Caleb Williams. However, they're in the race for this division because that division is so bad. I still just don't see a scenario and a pathway to the volume that Saquon had and the volume that Zeke had, two of the number one, number two fantasy running backs at their rookie seasons, just because you have actually viable running backs behind Bijan Robinson.
Well, I mean, that's the whole argument. It's like I actually think the fact that they don't have receivers, the fact that they have question mark at the quarterback position, the fact that like they're not a pass-heavy team is in favor of Bijan. And don't get us wrong, we both think that Bijan is going to be an immense talent in this league. We really do. Like, I think that he has the chance to be the best running back in the league. It's just not this year. And yeah, they're going to run the ball more than anyone else in the NFL. But the fact is that unlike Saquon and unlike Zeke, he's coming into a crowded backfield where they have a second-year running back. And yeah, is Bijan better than Tyler Allgeier? Yes, he is. But they're still going to use Tyler Allgeier. To think that Bijan is going to get 250 plus touches is, I think, a real stretch of someone's imagination. I think the hype was on Bijan just early on when they drafted him, because they're like, Atlanta doesn't need a running back, and then Atlanta went and drafted Bijan. They're like, oh my God, look, the best running back goes to the best running football team. He's going to come in and he's going to be a 2,000-yard rusher. That's not going to happen this year. It really, like, Cordell Patterson is going to take third down receiving work. So everyone's like, oh yeah, Bijan is a good route runner. He's a good pass catcher. But Patterson's going to eat into some of that. And then Algier is going to eat into some of his rushing attempts. So you have two different running backs in that backfield that are going to eat into two separate parts of his game that he's good at. So I just don't see the scenario where he's going to get 250 plus touches.
Well, I see. I slightly disagree. I could see 250, but we're talking about
I'm saying
Saquon,
plus, 350 plus.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, and you're talking about touches. Well, Saquon Barkley had 97 targets, and what do you have, like 70-something receptions his rookie season, or he had 90-something? I mean, I'll look it up in a second. But in terms of carries too as well, he was upwards of like 300. Obviously, Zeke went over 300 in carries. But
for sure,
this is the biggest thing to me, and is you're going to say that Bijan should go ahead of Saquon Barkley, who had 295 carries last year and should have the same, if not more, again, plus 57 receptions. You're talking about Nick Chubb, who had over 300 carries, had over 5 yards per carry average, and he's supposed to probably get more receptions too in the passing game this year. He already had an uptick last year. And you're talking about Derrick Henry, who's going to have 350 carries under his belt. And you could even argue Josh Jacobs is going to get another 320, 330 carries himself. Like, I don't see those carries being under Bijan's name. And listen, I'd be the first one to eat my words if Atlanta decides to do that, but it'd be dumb of them. It would be a repeat of what the New York Giants did to Saquon early in his career. And now you're looking at it here. Is they're afraid to sign him for big money, and other teams will probably be afraid to sign them for big money because of quote unquote wear and tear. You just don't want to risk the injury. I mean, Bijan had great volume in college. He can handle the volume, and that's not what we're talking about here. It's, will Atlanta be willing to give him that volume or ease him in his first year and use him? Because how many games are they going to really be competitive and need to be in the game? And how often, the other question is, how often is Desmond Ridder going to check down to him too as well? So I just think the scenario to see the volume that Saquon had and the volume of rushing that Zeke had are, like, you can argue that's the ceiling for him, but I just don't think it's in the realm of opportunity for that to happen. It's a different scenario. It's apples to oranges.
Yeah, I mean, when Zeke came into the league, DeMarco Murray the year before ran for 1,826 yards behind that offensive line. There was nobody else in that backfield when he came in.
Yeah,
there wasn't like a legit threat to him. There wasn't a second bell cow running back. Tyler Algier carried the workload last year.
He was a 1,000-yard rusher, over 4 yards per carry. It was a solid outing for a rookie.
Right, and he's a second-year young guy. And then the year before, Cordell Patterson was like the shock of fantasy football, the performance that he had running behind that line. When Saquon came into the league, same scenario, right? There's no one there to take away touches or threaten him. Yeah. And again, not saying that Algier is going to be commanding 50% of the workload there, but let's just say he takes 30%. And let's say Cordell Patterson takes 15%. So is that going to give enough touches? So let's talk about this real quick. So me and you both agree that I wouldn't take him in the first round. Like I would not touch him. So I will say I will take him in the second round. If he falls to the middle of the second round, I think I would probably take him over Tony Pollard. I would take him probably over Travis Etienne. I would take him over Aaron Jones, that kind of next tier down. But
I agree. Like, with the Tony Pollard comment, and just a quick side note, I think Tony Pollard and him are both at the same opportunity to finish with the same number of carries and receptions. Like, they're going to be very similar in that scenario because both teams aren't going to lean in on these guys heavily. Now, the Cowboys obviously have a better offense. They're going to have a new offensive coordinator, it's a little bit more balanced. And the other thing you got to understand too is in Atlanta, they're going to have to see what they got in Desmond Ridder. Like, they got to decide, is this going to be the guy of our future? And if he's not, so you're going to have to pass the ball. And you're going to have to take opportunities to pass the ball. The reason why Atlanta was the #1 team in rushing last year wasn't just because of their running game from the running backs. Marcus Mariota tuck and ran the ball so much when he started at the beginning of that season. And I don't think that's going to be the case for Desmond Ridder. He can do it. He's athletic, but they're going to need him to pass the ball. They're going to need to get to their other big targets in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So to me, I think it would do a disservice to not only Bijan Robinson early in his career, but it would do a disservice to the whole football team to just say, let's give him the ball every single time. I mean, looking back at the Saquon numbers, like I said, he had 260 carries and he had 91 receptions on 121 targets for the New York Giants, his rookie season.
And that made him the RB1.
Yeah, and so you see what it needs to take. And I just don't see those numbers for Bijan. Like, maybe he gets 225 rushes, maybe 250 rushes. But again, every other running back that we're saying is going to go before him is going to do that plus more.
Right.
And then they're all going to, say he gets 50 receptions, which is a pretty good number for a running back, a receiving running back, maybe even 60. Saquon's going to do that. You could get Nick Chubb in the 40s. You could get Derrick Henry in the 40s. Although Tajay Spears looks pretty good. So to me, like, to say that, especially like you look at Eckler and McCaffrey, he should not be drafted over those two guys. Like, there's no scenario.
No, but like, I've seen so many rankings where he's the #3 running back, and that's in standard and PPR. And
we've seen him at the #1 in PPR before.
Yeah,
which is
that's
crazy.
It's absurd to me. It's absurd. It's like I can't wrap my head around it where someone can rank those guys over the most elite running backs in the league. And yeah, he comes into a good scenario, but he's not replacing Algier. Algier didn't get cut. And let me just throw this on top. We have no idea what the goal line work is going to look like. We don't know if Cordell Patterson is going to touch it. We don't know if Algier is going to get it. We don't know if Bijan is going to get it.
Yeah.
So I think we have a pretty good scenario, like in Detroit, where with Gibbs and Montgomery, like Montgomery's going to get a lot of the goal line work. We know that. So in standard, he's going to be ranked a little bit higher. Gibbs should be going in around the 3rd, 4th round. And he's going to be heavily involved, but he's not going to get goal line work. So if the touchdown numbers aren't there for Bijan, good for him. He ran for 1,200 yards. Good for him. But if he has sub-8 touchdowns, he's not even going to crack the top 5. Yeah. And that's really the scenario. I don't really see him cracking the top 5 at the end of the season. I think he very well could be number 6, 7, 8, all the way through 10. I think that is his ceiling is 6. All right. I just can't see him outproducing guys that are true bell cows like Chubb, like Henry.
But outside of injuries and complete fall flat on your face, seasons, whether it could be from McCaffrey down to Henry, if one of those guys completely falls flat. I agree. Right. I mean, the last thing I will say is I just did a PPR draft this evening. It was a 10-team PPR. I was the number 9 pick. I went Tyreek Hill. I swung around. I did take Bijan second round, 12th pick, so that technically would have been a first rounder in a 12 team. But I took him over Derrick Henry just for upside there. But it took me a lot out of my mind to not press the home run button on Henry or one of the other receivers.
That was a mistake.
I may regret it. It's my least favorite pick that I made. I just said to myself, you know what? It's a family league. It's a friendly league. It's not necessarily a major money league. I was like,
crush your family.
This is the first time I've drafted him. Period. This is the first time I've drafted him.
Yeah.
And it may be the mistake I made. I'll tell you what, I'm not doing it in our league because I'm drafting 3. So, well, we've talked enough about Bijan. We said plenty of our piece there. In the comments, please tell us your thoughts. I think we're going to have a lot of people opposing our view, but I'm sure there's plenty of truthers out there that do think at the end of the day that Bijan may not be the second coming of one of these other running backs in his rookie season. I think he's going to be a fantastic running back in the NFL. I think he's very talented. It's more of a scenario thing than it is talent, end of the day.
Right.